This is an audio recording of my grandfather, Joe Semler, and he's being interviewed by my father, Ed Semler Sr. And this interview took place sometime in the mid to late 1970s. Joe Semler passed away in 1979, so sometime right before then. And my dad took the time to interview him, and the interview was done on a cassette recorder. And he made a few copies of it, but I think only one survived, and that was in the possession of one of my cousins, Susan Stefanov. And luckily, she kept it over all these years. And I was able to take it and digitize it from that cassette recorder. And so this is that interview, like I say, with my dad and Joe Semler at the Semler Farm in West Deer, Pennsylvania. And Joe Semler was a popular pitcher in the 1920s and 30s and played for the Beaver Falls Elks, Homewood-Brushton, and Bellevue baseball clubs in the semi-pro circuit around Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then he went on to play for the Hazleton Mountaineers, Scranton Miners, York White Roses, and Wilkes-Barre Barons in the New York, Pennsylvania minor leagues. Then he had a quick stint in the with the Nashville Volunteers in the Southern Association. And in this interview, he just talks about some of the highlights of those baseball days, being offered contracts with the Major League Baseball team, Cincinnati Reds, playing against some of the Negro Leagues in the area, and so forth. So I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, they finally voted him into the Hall of Fame here a couple of years ago.
Luke Gibson.
Luke Gibson, yeah.
Oh, you want to see him as a catcher. Holy smokes. Campanella used to be there. Whenever we played the All-Star team, he was a second-string catcher on that team. This guy was a first-string catcher. Campanella said he was a better catcher than he was. Always did. Great big fellow. He had a shotgun on, could hit a ball. As far as Babe Ruth or my father yet, I don't know which. Yeah, we was playing him one night up around Whitaker. That was the third game for that day, you see. And boy, I was supposed to pitch the morning game at Beaver Falls, and I was warming up, and as I was throwing the ball, I don't know where that ball come from, but I got my fingers out there, and that's where the ball hit me, right there, you see. On top of them two fingers, and I cut them two fingernails, both of them, into my flesh, you see. Oh, they both bled like, you couldn't get them stopped, you know. So then I didn't pitch. But we didn't have any pitcher left for the third game, and I had a pitch. Them two fingers, you know. And boy, I stuck out Zapp Washington and a fellow by the name of Beckwith. That was their name. And they were both great big fellows and both home run hitters, you know. And they would swing. When they'd swing, they'd fall down. And boy, that crowd was going nuts when I struck them both out 3 times in a row. They went crazy. I think I struck 11 of them out that night. For that afternoon, rather.
Who was you pitching for when you played the Cincinnati Reds? Did you play them a couple times? Or were they exhibition games? Or?
Yeah, just exhibition games. Played 2 of them.
They made you a couple offers too, didn't they? Didn't they make you a couple offers to play for them? Or?
Yeah, they offered me 3 different times. That's where I made my big mistake.
3 times, huh?
Yeah. They wanted to sign me up then, I wouldn't go. And then they wanted I pitched the game up at Erie. You see, there was a Oil City and Franklin in 1917 and 18. Oil City and Franklin, everybody that drilled a hole in the ground would strike oil. You understand?
Yeah.
So they hired 2 big league teams,
Yeah.
and they played 3 games a week. Played baseball up there, just amongst themselves. They played 3 games a week. And they hired the stars in the big leagues too. What I mean is, you know, like over them, a Doug Packard, the home run hitter, you know, with a big name.
Yeah.
They had all the best ball players was in the big leagues playing for Rose City and Franklin. They all jumped. Well, it lasted 2 years, and one fellow alone was paying $45,000 a year. And he said he wasn't that crazy about baseball. You know, for $45,000 a year.
That's what they were paying him to play in that league, huh?
Huh?
That's what they paid him to play for,
Well, they paid him more money than they was getting in the big leagues.
uh-huh.
Sure, they had to pay him more to get him to jump, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they had all big names. And you know, there was only one man out of that whole bunch that jumped that got back into organized baseball. And that was Jake Pittler, the Jew. He got back into it. And he was the only one that could get back. The rest of them was all blacklisted. And they wouldn't take him back. Well, whenever they folded up, they played for they played for Erie, you see?
Yeah.
One played for Rochester, right down in here, you know, Rochester, down the river a little piece. And the other team was playing for Erie. Well, Beaver Falls Elks wants to beat that team, you understand?
Right.
So they send us up. They said, we'll play Saturday, and we'll send you up Saturday night so you get a good sleep. We want to beat them. Well, we went up, and we played poker till 6 o'clock at Mass in the morning. Can you imagine that?
Oh, gee.
We had 3 directors with us, and they played poker with us.
You didn't get 4 deuces all night, did you?
Anyhow, we go to church, and we come back, and this Kelly, he hated a Catholic. You know, he couldn't stand a Catholic. He came back and he said, well, was all the drunks in church this morning? And this first baseman was with me. There was only 2 Catholics on the team, you know, and he said, we didn't go to the Presbyterian church. And gee, that started a fight, you know. So I beat him 3-1. And then this scout, after the game, he walks out of the stands and he says, well, Semler, it's time for you to sign. And I says, how much? He says, I'm only allowed to give you 500. He says, that's the highest I'm allowed to go.
And this was a Cincinnati scout, huh?
Well, I didn't know that, but that was all the money they were paying in the big leagues.
Oh.
Because I pitched a game against the Pirates down in Coshocton, Ohio. You see?
Yeah.
And I was on the same coach that the Pirates was. And this Adam Kalmarowski used to play left field for the Pirates. And he came up and he started talking to us, you know, me and Toby Uanza. And he said, what do you semi-pro fellows make a year? Oh, I said, I go between $600 and $700 a month.
You mean a year?
No, a month.
Oh.
You see, I was working. Beaver Falls was paying me $200.
Uh-huh.
Homewood-Brushton was paying me $135. And then I'd make about $250 at the carpenter trade.
Uh-huh.
Being that I worked every day and I worked for my dad, and I could get off any time at all if I had to during the week or anything, you know.
Right. Well, in those days, $600-700 a month was pretty big money, huh?
Oh, gee, you Christmas. Just imagine a carpenter made $12 a day. I'd get $50 a night for pitching. I'd average $50 a game. You know, the amount of games I pitched, if you figure that out and divide it, I averaged $45 a game.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty good, wasn't it?
Sure was.
And then Hannes Widener, if you, say for instance, you was from Parkersburg, West Virginia,
Uh-huh.
and you wasn't a real good pitcher, you'd call up Hannes Widener and say, Hannes, send me down a good pitcher this Saturday. Well, he more than likely give Hannes $5 that, you know, for doing that favor for him.
Yeah.
And then you would get $50 in your hotel bill and your meals, you see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went away twice from Hannes Widener. I went down to Parkersburg, West Virginia once, and I went to, no, twice. Twice to Parkersburg, and once to Waynesburg. That's down past Little Washington,
Uh-huh.
about 20 miles below that, you know.
Yeah.
And I pitched under the name of Irwin. And here, Hannes Widener sent 2 pitchers down. When I got on that big streetcar, see, that was a great big streetcar I used to get down there. It would haul freight and passengers, used to, you know.
Yeah.
They'd have about 10 feet of space on that car for freight to get down every day.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got on that car, why, Leo Carroll was sitting in there. And I said, I went over and I sat beside him, you see. And I said, who are you pitching for, Lee? I thought I was going to pitch against him, you see. And he says, I'm going to pitch for Saxonville Stogie. He said, did you ever hear of them? I said, hell no. That's who I'm supposed to pitch for. How's it come 2 of us are going down there? He says, I don't know. I'm called me, and I said, well, that's who called me. So we get down there, and he said, Semler, you start the game. Well, I started the game, and I pitched my 5 innings, which I was supposed to, and they didn't have a hit yet off of me, you see.
Yeah.
So they didn't get a hit till the 8th inning off of me. So I pitched that whole game then. I pitched a 1-hit ball game. And that fellow drove me from Waynesburg College, cleaned up. Well, we stopped at Little Washington and got our supper at a hotel. And then he drove me clear into Pittsburgh, where I could take that fast streetcar. It'll take you into Pittsburgh faster than an automobile will.
Uh-huh. Well, when that scout offered you $150, was that the first?
He offered me $500.
Or $500?
He offered me that at Beaver Falls. He offered me that at Erie. And he come down at my house during the winter. They wanted to sign me up during the winter for $500 a month. And I
Oh,
said,
that was a month, huh? $500 a month.
$500 a month. And he said he wasn't allowed to offer me any more than $500 a month. That's the limit.
In those days, did that $500 a month cover 12 months out of the year, or just the months that you played ball?
Just once you play ball.
Even in the pros, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's. You only get paid 6 months out of a year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just imagine, when I played ball, I only got $1,000
Well,
for the whole year.
did you ever play the Cincinnati Reds in an exhibition game or anything? You played. I know you played the Pirates. Did you play anybody else? Any other?
No, I played against the, I played against the Pirates, and I played against Cincinnati twice, and I played against the Dodgers, the Brooklyn Dodgers. You see, the Brooklyn Dodgers scout come up at our place in Beaver Falls, and they picked up our shortstop, and he takes him right with him, and he's in the lineup the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And he lasted 5 years. Billy Reel, his name was. And I don't know what happened to the fellow. He died. But he made it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He played 5 straight years.
And he played for Beaver Falls too, huh?
Yeah, he was our shortstop.
Was he a good one?
Oh, he was real good.
What was his name again?
Billy Reel.
Billy Reel.
R-H-E-I-L. But he died a young man, you know.
Uh-huh.
Well, anyhow, see, he lived in Youngstown. And then they have a Billy Reel's Day in Youngstown. And Beaver Falls played them in Youngstown during the week. And they had a Billy Reel Day. And they give him a new automobile, you know.
Yeah.
And if somebody else started a game, and they had 6 runs in and nobody out, the pitcher that started the game, and I went in and relieved him, and I got the side out without a run, and I went to the 9th inning, and a fellow by the name of Bisonette was the first baseman for Brooklyn. He hit a home run off of me. And I said, "And what's your name?" And he says, "James J. Corbett, the old heavyweight."
Chief, this was after that Dodger game?
Huh?
You mean after the Dodger game?
Yeah. Yeah, he came out, he watched the game in Youngstown.
Uh-huh.
He said, "Boy, did you give me a big thrill watching you beat the Dodgers." He said, "You really pitched some ball game, son."
Who was it? James Corbett?
The heavyweight boxing champion.
Uh-huh.
Right after, I think, Jack Johnson beat him, I think. You know,
Uh-huh.
James J. Corbett.
Your brother Bill used to like to go watch you play ball, didn't he?
Oh, he'd go every place.
I guess he would bet on your games, huh?
Oh, he put up $200 down on Sharon against the Homestead grade. He went $200 there. And one time, this Dewey Cohen pitched against this Paul McCullough. He was a real good pitcher. He played in the American Association, and he won 24 and lost 3. And they wouldn't give him the money he wanted, so he stayed home and pitched. You know, just pitched around Newcastle and them places. And he made out pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He was a hell of a good pitcher. He was on our team. He was on our team, Ed, and when we played them good game teams like going up in Erie and pitch,
Yeah.
we had 4 good pitchers. And I did the pitching, so you might know they used to think pretty good of me. What do you think?
I would think so, yeah.
Huh? Whenever they want to win a game, take you up the night before yet,
Uh-huh.
pay that hotel. Well, them hotel bills weren't so bad then. I guess it cost you about $2 a night then. How about it?
Yeah. Decent, huh?
Now you can't get a room unless you pay $50 a night. $50, $75 a night to sleep one night, huh?
Mm-hmm. Well, those box scores in your book were Dizzy and Paul Dean. You know, they're playing the outfield. I noticed you did a lot of pitching for them. You remember them, or
What's that?
in those box scores in your book? You got a lot of box scores in there where Dizzy and Paul Dean are playing.
Only one game, Joe.
Or just
You see, we played the pick of the color team. There was a color team at that time.
Uh-huh. Well, where did Dizzy and Paul Dean come in at? Did they?
They played in the National League but the other team was a colored league.
Oh.
There was a regular colored league, 8 teams in a colored league.
Mm-hmm.
There was Baltimore, there was one in New York, and one in Pittsburgh, one in Chicago. Well, there was 8 teams now. You can just figure out where the hell they were. I don't know. But they was all in them big cities.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember, I still don't remember the names of them teams. There was...
Ask Mommy if she's ready to go, Joe. Tell her it's 11 o'clock.
There was one Black Sox team, and well, that was a pick of the All-Star team in, you see.
Uh-huh.
They had their pick of that All-Star colored team. And just imagine, I don't see them fellas.
Yeah.
I never seen them. And don't think that don't mean something whenever you're pitching against a fellow that you know how to pitch against.
Right, sure.
Now, you take a Homestead Grays, I knew how to pitch against every man because I pitched against them all the time.
Right. You knew what they would hit, what they couldn't.
When you're up against a strange man, you just have to throw that ball over the plate, don't you?
Right. Or rely on your catcher to know what he can. He's probably just as much in the dark as what you are, though.
Well, he didn't know anymore. No, because...
Yeah.
Got a match.
Yeah, I'll give you a light.
And here, they only got 4 runs off of me.
Not bad.
No, that one guy hit that home run with 2 men on. Well, I thought I did wonderful. You go pitch against a team like that.
Yeah.
You know, that color league was a mighty good league.
Yeah. Well, the Homestead Grays is a real good team, I know.
Well, you take Homestead Grays was in it. Homestead Grays represented Pittsburgh.
You could beat them pretty regularly, couldn't you? You and this
I could pretty near break even with him, Ed, but if a fellow beat him once in a lifetime, he was doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Or I beat him pretty near 10 times, I think. I can remember of 8 times that I beat him, but you know, your memory is not that good, that's the sure thing.
Yeah.
I pitched a 1-hit game against him, so
Ooh.
you know, that's pretty good.
Yeah, if you hold down to 1 hit, that's something, huh?
And I pitched 4 or 5 games that they only got 1 run off of me. I relieved down in Youngstown once in 5 innings, didn't get a hit off of me, and 4 innings, didn't get a hit off of me. You know, that's pretty fair pitching, ain't it?
Sure is. Did you ever get thrown out of the game, Pep, for arguing?
No.
Huh? Not one, huh?
No.
Did you ever stare in at the umpire and say, hey, are you sure that was a ball?
One time I walked a guy in when his base was loaded. I had the fellow 3-2. And the fellow in him was George Pipgrass, used to pitch for the Yankees. He turned to be an umpire, you see.
Yeah.
And I served that ball. And he called it a ball 4. I walked in and I said to him, I said, George, you did a hell of a lot of pitching in your days. I said, could you have made a better pitch than that? He says, Joe, I'm sorry. I meant to call that a strike and I called it a ball. He says, but I intend to call that a strike. And he said, I said ball.
Did you ever pitch a no-hitter, Pep?
No.
You ever come close?
Hell, yeah.
Free samples of some different times there. Betty took one.
I had another hitter up to the 8th inning. And the first guy up in the 8th inning hit a ball to the third baseman on 1 bounce. And the ball pretty near hit the third baseman. That's how close it was when it went past him, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
He was standing like that. He was thinking of his horse running that day.
Mm-hmm.
He came over and he apologized to me. I had a notion of punching him in the push, tell you the straight good. He says, Joe, he says, I just happened to think of that damn horse that I bet on today, he said, and that ball pretty near hit me. Can you imagine anything like that?
I hope you enjoyed this bit of history. Try to upload military and patriotic videos to my site here, about every other day. And if you're interested in a good read, check out my books at www.edsemler.com.